1 is a Kinsman, Geordie Dunn. 2, Baron Blakeney, Hewell Davis. 3, Crimson Embers, Stuart Shilston and blinkered Crimson Embers. 5, Dumper, John Frankham. 6, Farmer, Mark Richards. 7, HARTSTOWN, Boots Madden. 9, Jimbrook, Mr. Tim Easterby, and Jimbrook is blinkered. 10, Loriot, Mr. Dermot Brown. 11, Mac Kelly, Steve Jobar. 12, MAYOTTE, Paul Richards. You'll note that both Melly and Mr. Donovan are absentees. 15 is Noblissimo, Richard Rowe. 16, Our Barra Boy, James Davies. 17, Shellburst, Richard Linley. 18, Silent Member, Frank Berry. 19, Scuseby, blinkered, ridden by Phil Tuck. 20, Stop It, Graham Bradley. 22, Determined Angel, blinkered, ridden by Podge Gill. 23, Goldspan, Peter Scudamore. 24, Queen's Ride, Colin Brown. 25, Sanderley, Tony Charlton. And 26, Shiny Copper, ridden by Alan Webb.
Well, 12 months ago, there was some...
Thank you, Julian. Yes, a very open race, this one. And indeed, it's been won by some good horses in the past. The first we see is number 2, Baron Blakeney. Regular viewers with us will have seen this one powering up the hill here at Cheltenham in 1981 when he won the Triumph Hurdle. He was a 66-to-1 shot on that occasion, and he put paid to Broadsword's chances. Broadsword, we thought, was a certainty, went to the last. This one came out of the blue. He's trained by Martin Pipe, ridden by Hewell Davis. Martin enjoying what will be his best season ever. He's on 18 winners at the moment. I think 22 is his best total, and he's sure to go past that. But anyway, number 2, Baron Blakeney, who's gone off the boil somewhat. And there, a good sort of horse, HARTSTOWN, ridden by Niall Madden, trained by the ebullient Mick O'Toole. Well, he's been chasing, hasn't really taken to it, and he runs in the well-known colours of Mrs. Anne-Marie McGowan. She was successful with Davy Ladd here in the Cheltenham Gold Cup. This is a good sort of horse, but he hasn't really liked fences. As you can see, he's big and strong enough to jump them, and probably we'll see him later on over fences. HARTSTOWN is 6-to-1, but Crimson Embers, last year's winner, 4-to-1. HARTSTOWN 6s, MAYOTTE 6s, Silent Member 6s, and 7-to-1 bar. But earlier on today, before most of you were up and about, Peter O'Sullivan was able to get Mick O'Toole, and he spoke to him.
You won with HARTSTOWN in 81. How do you view his chances today?
Well, certainly we're not nearly as confident as we were then, because he's been very disappointing.
But that's jumping fences. I mean, are you happy he's back jumping hurdles?
Well, I would have been had I not run him a Punchestown, but Tommy Carmody rode him a Punchestown, and I asked him to hold him up to see would he get the trip, and he held him up, and he definitely wasn't right the next day, but I think once he let him out of the race, the horse himself didn't bother. He's worked very well since, and if he could reproduce the run he had with Fane Ranger at Navan, he'd be in the firing line.
What about...
And one of the 3 Irish winners here in 1981. Peter did well to get Mick O'Toole to stand still for 30 seconds, because Mick is a really active man. You see him bobbing here and bobbing there, and you don't often see him in one place for too long. Well, a good sort this, and I hope to see him put up a good performance. Number 17 there, the colours of the last winner, Shellburst, this one. And in fact, Shellburst, who only ran twice last season, he fell on the first occasion, then he won. Then he reappeared and pulled up, ran a sort of dismal sort of race, and was 3rd last time out, so he's showing that he's on the way back. Trained by Les Kennard for Sheikh Ali Abu Kamsin, who must be delighted with his last winner. He's put a lot into jump racing, and he's getting a lot out of it. Shellburst is a 7-to-1 shot. Richard Linley safely back in the saddle now, and he certainly must be feeling very pleased with himself indeed. So the runners there, Crimson Embers, last year's winner, just goes through the frame. We have a show betting for you.
Crimson Embers, the favourite, 4-to-1. MAYOTTE, Silent Member, and HARTSTOWN, 6-to-1. Shellburst, 7-to-1. Queen's Ride opened at 7s, is now 10-to-1 with Goldspun. Sanderley 12-to-1, Our Barrow Boy 16-to-1, and on 20-to-1 Dumper, Shiny Copper, Scuseby, and Noblissimo rather has gone to 25-to-1. Jimbrook also 25-to-1, 33-to-1 bar.
So HARTSTOWN coming out there leading MAYOTTE. MAYOTTE, the mare in the yellow colours there with the green striped sleeves. She's a very good mare indeed. Connections were hoping to go through the season unbeaten. In fact, this looks like Skewsby. It's not MAYOTTE, it's Skewsby. Very similar colours. MAYOTTE has a stripe down the middle. That was my fault, 19. They're very similar indeed, you'll see later on. But, of course, Peter won't make any such mistake. A very silly one. Well, Skewsby comes from the Easterby, all-conquering Easterby stable, and he is a very useful horse indeed. He's been running with great consistency all season, and it wouldn't be beyond the realms a reason for this one to oblige today. Just a little bit hot in the paddock, but then the sun is out again here at Cheltenham. Phil Tuck in the saddle. Skewsby, a fine horse. I expect him to go quite well. There's Dumper in the white sleeves, just going out to John Frankham's mount. John still looking for a winner here at the meeting, but a lot more shots to go yet. Dumper had a nasty fall earlier on in the season, but it didn't seem to bother him. He's come back and run some super races. And he seems to reserve his best form for the better races. When he seems to have a cast iron chance, things don't always go his way. Dumper from Fred Winter's stable, John Frankham in the saddle. And immediately behind him with the black braces, Crimson Embers, last year's winner in this event, proving to be one of the very best staying hurdlers of last year. But can only just see his hat, so we'll pick up Crimson Embers later. There he is, sideways on. Bred by Mrs. Pam Smart, and Stuart Shilston always has the mount on this one, always wears blinkers. Not ungenuine at all, it just tightens him up that little bit. He went novice chasing earlier this season and did win, but didn't really relish it, has come back to hurdles. 5-1 favourite from 4-1, 6-1 bar. Although he is made like a chaser, and I fully expect him to go back to jumping the big obstacles later. He was certainly adequate, but he's still a very good staying hurdler. Number 12, there is MAYOTTE, this lovely little mare. Paul Richards in the saddle, and Richard Holder, trainer of this one, and Paul Richard had high hopes of coming to this race unbeaten for the season, but I'm afraid that wasn't to be so. After winning first time out, suffered a defeat and then was third last time out. MAYOTTE 7-1 from 6-1, a gallant little mare. She can run from the front or from the back, and although there's not much in front of her, look, you can see Paul Richards, his head is nearly in front of MAYOTTE's head, but she's a good little mare. Probably with the sun on her back, she'll certainly appreciate that. Mares do like that sort of thing. Number 25 there, Sandelay, trained by Peter Cundall. Peter, who's having a very quiet season indeed. He's only had 5 winners, but he did tell me that most of his horses are youngsters, and they will be needing a little bit of time to come to their best. Sandelay he bought from Pat Rowan, who first produced this horse, and then Peter won a couple of flat races, fairly decent races with him, and he looks to be coming back into form now. Tony Charlton has the mount today, and he runs in the colours of the pop star Sting. Sandelay 14-1 from 12-1. A Kinsman there, the leading one in yellow with the dark hoops. A Kinsman seems held by Jim Brooke and Skewsby from a Wetherby meeting in December, and best form shown early in the season, really. This one was named, incidentally, after a young lady called Amanda Kinsman, who stays with the Brockbanks, owner and trainer of this horse. So there's our Barrow Boy, Skewsby and HARTSTOWN. Meanwhile, as the runners look at the first, we have some betting for you, followed by the results to date.
Crimson Embers 4-1, Shellburst 6-1, MAYOTTE and Silent Member 7-1, HARTSTOWN 8-1, Goldspun is on 10s, Queen's Ride 12-1, Sandelay 14-1, our Barrow Boy, Dumper, Shiny Copper and Skewsby 20-1, so is Jim Brooke, and Noblissimo 25-1, 33-1 bar. Now the results of the day from 2 meetings. Cheltenham, first of all, the 2 o'clock. First number 2, Buckhouse 8-1, second number 12, Golden Friend 15-1, and third number 25, Sunny Bills 33-1. The 2:35, first number 12, Ryman 16-1, second number 5, Boreen Door 33-1, and third number 15, the Tsarevich 16-1. The 3:15, the Champion Hurdle, first number 11, Gay Brief 7-1, second number 1, Boreen Prince 50-1, And third, number 10 for auction, 3-1 joint favourite. Sedgefield 215, first number 15 Shui 10-1, second number 11 Pericolo Ludus also 10-1, third number 4 Gun 7-1, and fourth number 32 Strathmanor 25-1. 250, first number 22 New Life Connection 9-2, second number 12 Great Tarquin 14-1, and third number 9 Fine Steel 11-8 on favourite. And the 325, that was won by number 9, Come On Sunshine, 4-1. The second, number 10, Pirate Jack, 5-1. And third, number 1, Chevy, 6-4 favourite.
So 3 miles and 1 furlong to go for this, the Waterford Crystal Stayers Hurdle. That is a long way indeed. A lot of these horses you'll find won't stay. There'll be big dangers at the top of the hill. And as they sweep down on that long run before finally climbing to the finish, they'll find out that their stamina is going out of the back door. So we've seen quite a lot of the fancied horses already, but there are a few more to see. And if you do fancy a horse in this, certainly don't let me put you off, because like most of the races, it's wide open. John Frankham still looking for his first winner of the day. Dumper is his mount. Another little Cheltenham favourite there in the middle of that hurdle. Just turning away is Farmer with the pink sleeves and the pink sash. There he is just looking at the hurdle. 2 from the left, 1 from the left, turning away now. Farmer, lovely little horse this, but he looked to have been coming back to form earlier on in the season. He had a win here before Christmas, but since then has run some rather indifferent races. He comes from a very successful little stable, that of Bob Hawker's, a dairy farmer from Chippenham, and certainly the horse looks well and appeared well in the paddock. I hope to see a better show from him, because he is a nice little horse and he has shown a liking to this course. Behind him is Stop It, that's number 20. Stop It is trained by Andy Scott, way up near the Scottish border at Wupperton. Andy, who is a timber merchant by trade, but also a very successful trainer. Had a bit of a setback in the first race when Cardinal Flower ran rather disappointingly, but then a lot of people have had disappointments so far today, as well as elation. Stop It was a winner last time out, and in fact this horse was the cause of Andy being fined a hefty £2,000 recently when stewards considered he hadn't run on his merits the previous time. Well, he duly obliged last time out, and I wonder how good he is. We shall see today. Stop It, ridden by Graham Bradley, who will be riding Bregorn in the Gold Cup, the big one on Thursday. And Graham, in my opinion, one of the very best young jockeys in the country today. So in the light colours there with the red sash, that's Stop It. Crimson Embers is 5-1 favourite. Shellburst has gone out half a point to 6-1. MAYOTTE 7s, as is Silent Member, the Irish horse HARTSTOWN 8-1 and 10-1 bar. There's the little mare, number 12, MAYOTTE just going through. Shellburst is standing still in the middle there, being re-girth. We did see him slightly earlier, but fine sort of horses, had his training problems, but back on course now and just showing that he certainly is coming back to his best. Richard Lindley will be riding with great zest. I know he always does, but with a champion hurdle under your belt, he certainly will be giving it that little bit of extra. He'll be feeling very happy now. So those colours, I wonder if we'll see an unusual double coming off when Sheikh Ali Abu Kamsin's $50 more runs in the Gold Cup. There is Matt Kelly just going through, number 11. McKelly won a boys' race at Newbury when we were televising 10 days ago, and very impressive he was too. He's sweating quite profusely. He's been point-to-pointing, and he's won a chase prior to going back over hurdles at Newbury. But he fairly sprinted away from the rest of the opposition. Slightly harder today, but he's a useful horse. He's trained by young Toby Bolgin for his father. So the stars of Jim Brook, we just missed him, 22 there, is Determined Angel from Ireland. And this is the sight from the top of this grandstand. The punters here certainly have no excuse for missing the action. They start just below the grandstands, come up to them, and then 2 complete circuits. Riders are generally pleased with the ground here today. There's our Barrow Boy with the light sash. We'll see how he figures in the market.
20-1 at the moment, our Barrow Boy, but Crimson Embers still the favourite, 5-1. Shellburst 11-2. MAYOTTE and Silent Member 7s. HARTSTOWN has gone to 9-1 with Goldspun. Queen's Ride is 12-1. Sandalay 14-1. Our Barrow Boy, Dumper, Shiny Copper, Scousby and Jimbrook 20-1. Noblissimo 25s, 33-1 bar.
So the goggles coming down, it means the action isn't far away. Number 9 there, an interesting one, Jimbrook, bred by Colin Pontin, farmer from Oxfordshire. Queen's Ride 10-1 from 12, trained by Jenny Pittman. Quite a fancied runner, but for this race, let's join Peter.
Thank you, Richard. The white flag up. 13 flights to be jumped this time. And they're away. Stop it. Silent Member, Noblissimo. Noblissimo with his prominent white face, the far left of the picture. Farmer on the far right, not going a very good gallop in the early stages. Noblissimo, Stop It, Farmer. Goldspun, Loriot and Scousby, a little bit to choose between them. Queen's Ride almost up with them too as they come to the first flight. Stop It, landed just in the lead there for Noblissimo and Goldspun, and Loriot and Scousby and Queen's Ride and Farmer and Crimson Embers and Shiny Copper and Baron Blakeney and Determined Angel and Jimbrook on the outside. Behind them McKelly, and then comes Shellburst, HARTSTOWN. Our Barrow Boys next, followed by Kinsman and Sandalay, the back markers MAYOTTE. Swinging left-handed. Stop It in the lead from Noblissimo and Goldspun, Crimson Embers and Scousby and Loriot, Baron Blakeney and Jimbrook and Farmer on the inside, with Queen's Ride not far behind him. Coming to the second, Silent Member is next, followed by McKelly and Determined Angel and a Kinsman and HARTSTOWN, our Barrow Boy, Dumper, MAYOTTE and Sandalay. Stop It, still from Noblissimo, Goldspun, Crimson Embers, Scousby, Farmer, Baron Blakeney, right up there too with Loriot next, and then Shiny Copper and Queen's Ride. Over the third, Stop It from Noblissimo. Then Goldspun and Crimson Embers and Farmer, then Scousby and Loriot, and Queen's Ride, Baron Blakeney, the grey on the outside with Shiny Copper just up with him. Racing towards flight number 4 of the 13 flights in all. Stop It lands in the lead from Noblissimo and Crimson Embers and Goldspun and Scousby and Loriot and Baron Blakeney, and then Jimbrook, and just behind them Farmer. Then comes Shiny Copper and Shellburst and a Kinsman and Queen's Ride. Then McKelly, Silent Member, Determined Angel. Behind Determined Angel is our Barrow Boy with MAYOTTE and Dumper and HARTSTOWN. And coming down to the fifth, Stop It from Noblissimo and Crimson Embers and Goldspun and Baron Blakeney, and Loriot and Farmer, and Jimbrook and a Kinsman and Shellburst. All 21 still standing. As they face up to the next flight. Number 6, Stop It from Noblissimo, Grey Baron Blakeney and Jimbrook and Goldspun and Loriot, Crimson Embers and Farmer, a Kinsman. So levelling up to the flight that'll be the last after another complete circuit. And number 7 this time, and Stop It in the lead from Noblissimo and Goldspun and Queen's Ride and Crimson Embers and Farmer, then Baron Blakeney and Loriot and Scousby, and behind them come HARTSTOWN and McKelly and Shiny Copper and Jimbrook, and behind them comes Silent Member, and then a Kinsman. Behind a Kinsman is Sandalay, and then Shellburst, our Barrow Boy, MAYOTTE and Dumper. Stop It in the lead from Noblissimo, Crimson Embers on the inside of Goldspun, Baron Blakeney on the outside of Loriot. Behind them come Queen's Ride, then Scousby, behind Scousby Silent Member, Sandalay on the outside, then Shellburst and Shiny Copper, Dumper, MAYOTTE and our Barrow Boy are the 3 back markers at the moment. Stop It goes down to the 8th in the lead from Crimson Embers, Noblissimo. Gold Spun, Farmer, Queen's Ride, Skewsby, Loriot, McKelly, who's improved a little, Shiny Copper, HARTSTOWN on the inner. Running down to the next flight. Number 9 of the 13 in all, Stop It in the lead from Crimson Embers on the inside, but Noblissimo probably just shading him on the far side. Gold Spun's next, and then Loriot, then the grey Baron Blakeney. Jimbrook is just in behind them with Queen's Ride. That was the 9th. Crimson Embers in the lead from Stop It. Then Noblissimo, then Gold Spun, then Baron Blakeney is still getting closer. Just in behind them, Skewsby and Jimbrook and Loriot. And then Shiny Copper making progress. They've got 4 left to jump now. And still Crimson Embers in the lead from Noblissimo, Baron Blakeney, Gold Spun, Loriot. Stop It is losing ground. A Kinsman is making ground. Shiny Copper and Jimbrook also only just in behind the leaders. Queen's Ride and HARTSTOWN are making a bit of ground. But it's Crimson Embers, a winner here at the 1982 festival, in the lead. From in second place Noblissimo, then comes Gold Spun, then Baron Blakeney, then a Kinsman, then Jimbrook, then Loriot, then Skewsby, then Silent Member, then Sanderley. Coming down to the 3rd last flight now. Crimson Embers being pressed all the time by Gold Spun, Noblissimo, a Kinsman and Baron Blakeney. And over that one, Crimson Embers from a Kinsman, Gold Spun. MAYOTTE is coming on the scene too. Just in behind them, Jimbrook coming to the 2nd last now. And it's a Kinsman over on the far side, lands just in the lead from Gold Spun, and a faller there, Noblissimo, and it's a Kinsman now from Gold Spun, MAYOTTE. Crimson Embers has weakened into 4th place. Jimbrook comes next, and then comes Sanderley and Baron Blakeney coming to the final flight now in the Waterford Crystal Stayers Hurdle, and as they come to the last, it's a Kinsman on the near side, Gold Spun on the far side, between horses MAYOTTE, a little between the 3. A Kinsman lands in the lead from Gold Spun, 2nd, MAYOTTE 3rd. Racing into the closing stages now, a Kinsman being pressed by Gold Spun on the far side. MAYOTTE beginning to get up on the near side. It's a Kinsman from MAYOTTE and Gold Spun as they race up towards the line. A Kinsman holding MAYOTTE and Gold Spun as they come up towards the line. 25 yards to run. A Kinsman holding MAYOTTE and Gold Spun, and at the line it's a Kinsman, MAYOTTE and Gold Spun. Judge could call on a photo. I think a Kinsman has won it from Gold Spun and MAYOTTE. Could be a photo, but I think we'll find that a Kinsman has just won it. The judge still to declare his verdict. Yes, he has called it. First, number 1, a Kinsman. Second, number 12, MAYOTTE. And third, number 23, Gold Spun. This is the winner, a Kinsman. Here's how he won it as we review it with Richard Pittman.
And coming to the last, the little mare MAYOTTE in between the Kinsman and Gold Spun. She looked at this stage as if she was going to run on. A Kinsman just jumping slightly across, left-handed, almost bumping Gold Spun, but not quite. MAYOTTE switched to the outside here, but she doesn't quite go through with her effort, you know. She looks to have every chance and then switches back again. Paul Richards really standing up in his irons and driving her very hard. She goes back between a gap, but the gap's not really there, and she hasn't got it. The Kinsman battles on really ferociously up the hill, finding that good form that he had earlier on in the season, but he had lost it. Geordie Dunn riding him and pushing him out nicely for John Brombach, the trainer's 7th win of the season.